Mari, welcome. It is Women's Month, and I can't think of a better guest to share with our community here at Second Gear. And so for those meeting you for the first time, how would you introduce yourself? Runner, artist, adventurer, or all of the above?
I would definitely say all of the above, but probably adventurer as sort of the overarching, quality or whatever that actually has brought me to, or that has attracted me to the creative field and also running. I think that is at the core of what I would say the person that I am. But I'm also both of the other things.
Amazing. So let's start right at the beginning. Where did your love for movement first begin?
It was probably instigated by my family, who was always quite active. I grew up in a house where we always did active things. My dad was a runner, also an ultra road runner, and my mom has always done some form of exercise. And I'm growing up in a family where it was a normal thing to go as a family, to go hiking or spend time in the outdoors. It was a natural part of my life. And I also just really loved it. I always loved sport and physical education and all of those things.
So you're an artist as well as a runner. Which would you say came first, and when did they sort of start intertwining?
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting question. And I sometimes even think about it myself when I have to introduce myself as the one or the other, because I think they're very much intertwined. But I once again would say that both of those things come from a sense of curiosity. That is the quality that has sort of attracted me to both being a creative and being a runner, because when you are curious about life in general and you have a sense of adventure, then you will automatically be attracted to situations where there's not a predicted outcome. So in the creative process, you have a sense of freedom because you discover things as you go along. And it's the same with running, running gives you a sense of freedom and a sense of, okay, let's just see what's around the next corner. Basically, it's not so much saying I'm a runner or I'm an artist. It's more like saying, okay, I'm curious and I love adventure.
I absolutely love that. So, I mean, at what specific moment did you think this is who I am now and I'm living my story?
I think it's hard to ever say there's a specific moment of thinking, okay, this is now I'm living the life that I've always wanted to live. I think you go through phases in life, and for me, it's more about thinking of life as a bigger picture. And when at certain points in your life, you may be doing some things that you don't necessarily enjoy so much, but you understand that as being a means to do something else that you really want to do, and seeing it all as important puzzle pieces. Some things are not, this is just fun and games all the time. And other things are just, wow, this is amazing. So there was never a point like that where I felt now everything is just exactly as I wanted it and it's just easy and wonderful and things are coming together. But I always keep the big picture in mind and thinking, okay, I'm going somewhere where I want to be, but I also don't see it as there's this one final point where everything is
Destination.
Exactly my story, because my story keeps evolving. And as I go along, maybe what I thought 10 years ago, this is what the life I want, is not what I want now necessarily.
Interesting. How do your creative and running lives then feed each other?
I think there are many parallels. It's all part of a similar kind of process. As I mentioned before, a process of discovering, exploring, having an open mind, being flexible, and then to take things one step at a time and be in the moment that you're in, not knowing what the outcome is going to be, but be okay with that. And to take brave steps in order to get to a certain outcome. And for the creative process, that's kind of the steps that you have to go through. You have to be sort of, in a way, fearless of making mistakes and just do it and see what happens and learn from that and keep learning, new things. And it's the same with running. I mean, especially if you talk about running in not just as something you do the same thing over and over, but you evolve as a runner and you see, okay, maybe now I can go a little faster, or I can go a bit little longer, or I want to do like a big challenge that scares me, but I'm still going to try it, and I'm going to go through that process of getting to the peaks that you want to arrive at. That is for me like the parallel in understanding the similarities in the process. And then, of course, also because I'm not actually more also through the years, I've gone more into education as an art teacher. And there is actually even more similarity, because when you're guiding people through the process of unblocking and getting rid of all those preconceived ideas about I'm not creative, I'm not an artist, I can't do this. And then seeing them going through the process of discovering we're all artists and we can be creative. And it's the same with running. Also guiding others and letting them understand that it's okay, you know, like we all start somewhere, and you don't have to be a pro athlete to enjoy running or to push yourself to a new level.
Absolutely. And would you ever get ideas for art mid-run?
Actually, maybe sometimes, but in general, for me, running is a place where I go into a quiet space. I don't necessarily think so much about things. I get a lot of things out of my system. If something has been bothering me, or if I'm just frustrated or angry or whatever, then I would, you know, speak it out loud while I'm running through the forest, and I just feel so much better after. And then after, usually in the first 10 minutes of my run, I would get rid of all the frustrations and be like, blah, 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 blah. And then when I have done it, okay, now I can just start running. Like, then I forget about everything, and it's just sort of quiet space where I literally, people ask, what do you think of when you run for like 30 hours on a miler or something? And I'm like, actually, I don't think of anything. I just think of the next step. I'm just there where I am at that time. And that is why I love it so much, because there's very few other situations in life where I feel I can sort of shut off like that, because there's so many interferences and distractions and so
I know it's a really long time you're out there, and people always ask me as well, what do you think? You're just present in the moment. Running is often described exactly as that, as a moving meditation. Does that mirror the flow you get when you're creating as well?
Yes, I would say 100%. That is another parallel. Like, I think when you get into the flow of doing something creative, where you really get into I would say, the right side of your brain more than the left side, you know, you always have to balance out the two.
Yes.
It's a very similar experience for me. When I run and I have to focus on what I'm eating, not tripping over things, which I am not very good at. And then also, you know, to focus on what is my pace now? What should because you have to manage yourself physically and mentally. So there is a sense of logical thinking happening. But at the same time, I get into this space where I actually forget that I have to check my pace and my eating and all of that. So that it's balancing those two, but it's the same in the creative. I always explain it to my students like that, you know, when you, for example, mixing colors, you have to actually think about what you're doing. You can't just like go into this like flow state and you're going to create mud on your palette. You know, you have to actually logically think about what you're putting together. But at the same time, you need to then switch over to that state where you can paint with feeling, or actually feel the strokes rather than thinking so carefully about this I'm doing now, this I'm doing now. Yeah. So it's kind of, there's always that left and right brain sort of switching happening.
Yeah. Women's Month is about celebrating our role models. Who would you say inspired you along the way?
It's actually a difficult question, because there's a lot of people that inspire me all the time. And I think it's easy. One can easily go, what are the really good athletes that run amazing times. And
Really
I'm
well.
always in awe. How can they even do that? But
Yeah.
for me in general, the people that really inspire me are more the people that I feel are the ones who show up despite any kind of barriers or things that can hold them back from that. People who, if they decide they're going to do something, that they stick to what they decided and they show up every day, even when it's difficult and even when they're not the most naturally talented runners, but they still
The work.
decide this is what I want to do and they focus on their own goals. I
Yeah.
think I'm always inspired by stories and people like that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, also I've always been inspired by my parents. They were the first people who inspired me. My dad, who always went out running and did his runs, even that though he didn't have much time, or my mom that made time for her walks or whatever she did, even though she had to do a million other things like raising a
Yeah.
family and all of that. So yeah, I think that is what and that together with all the other people who do great things in the sport.
Yeah, I think you were very lucky growing up in a household that you kind of share the same values as them. And then if other women were to look at you, they look at your art, your travel, your races, what do you hope that they take away from that?
This is something that I often say. If anything, I think with social media these days, one can very easily look at somebody's life and look at their posts and think that, okay, they're just living this wonderful life. And it's all the
Yeah,
highlights that you're seeing. And the thing that I would want to actually communicate to people is that these are the highlights, but also know that none of this is always easy. There's a lot of things that you have to overcome en route to getting to these highlights. And
yeah.
sometimes I feel it's kind of frustrating to me even that I feel, okay, but because you don't get to post the days when you're feeling so tired or you're having a really bad day and you still have to go out and, like do your training or do your job and all of that. And I want people to know that that is the same for all of us. We are no different to each other. We have the same barriers, the same kind of frustrations or whatever along the way, and that people don't get disencouraged by looking at somebody else and thinking, like, I
I
can't
don't
be
have
like
the
that. I
luxury.
can't do
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
yes.
because I actually have all these other days in between. It's almost like,
Responsibilities.
okay, yeah. So rather to form a community of people supporting each other, knowing that we're all going through these things.
Yes,
And like my friends would know that because we talk openly every day,
yes.
and we support each other in that way. But also for
Love
like a
that.
wider audience, maybe looking from outside, that you can all do these things. You just have to get that sort of community of support that we can all help each other to move mountains.
Yes, I love that. I mean, one of my favorite, I don't know if it's a quote or a meme or whatever, is Usain Bolt when he broke the record. And everybody goes, wow, that's, you were so lucky and you were so amazing. It's like, well, I actually trained for 8 years to achieve this. And all you see is a few seconds. And that's exactly what it's like. We put in the hours, we get up, we show up, whether we want to or not. We get sick along the way, we get injured. As you said, we have a life, we have work responsibilities. It's how do you navigate all of those things?
Yes,
I digress.
definitely. Absolutely. And I mean, that's the same for, like sometimes when you're doing like a big race, then a lot of people would say, like, wow, I don't know how you do this or whatever. And then I'm like, I know exactly how I do this.
It's
This was like
hard.
a 20-year project, you know?
Yes. Yeah,
And it didn't just happen overnight. It's something that I've been chipping away on for years, to get to a
exactly.
point where I can do this. And it wasn't easy and it still isn't that easy.
Yes.
I may make it look easy if you just see one little snippet out of it. And that's also important for people to know because you can easily get discouraged if you
Yes.
only see these little things and then think,
Happy
okay, but
moments.
I'll never get there because, yeah.
Yes. Many women in midlife feel that their adventurous years are now behind them. What are you going to say to them?
Well, I would definitely tell them that that is not the case. And yeah, that it's never too late to start anything, and that it is just all about finding like a community of people. I know it's not always so easy if you maybe
Of
live
course.
in an area where you don't know other people, but nowadays also with the internet, I mean, like, and all this social networks, it becomes easier to even connect to people in other areas if you don't have people in your direct environment. But to get to learn from others and to get support from others to help you along the way, because it's like that, what you do every day, those little steps to get to a point where you can do something that for you is a big step or a big adventure. And it's very hard to do that on your own. The importance of
You need
getting
community.
other people to help you with that is also really important.
Yeah, you need the support. So, what does Women's Month mean for you personally?
For me, I'm not so concerned usually about specific months or days dedicated to a specific cause. I think every day should be Women's Day.
Yes.
I don't think we need to only have a month. It's great that we have this month that we focus on reminding people that every day should be Women's Day.
Yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. And if you could give one challenge to every woman listening this month, what would it be?
I would say to not delay anything that you want to do, to really get out and do the things that you feel, because you will have that gut feeling that this is something I've always thought I maybe want to do. Don't even think about it too much.
Yeah,
Get out and do it.
just do it. Yes.
Because yeah, the more I meet people, especially older people, the more I realize how when you get to a certain age and you can't do certain things anymore, you can't go back and go do them then. Once
Yeah.
your health declines, then you might be sorry that you didn't use those opportunities. So if you're healthy and you can get out and you can do these things that you want to do, do it,
Yes,
because this might be your only chance.
absolutely. So, Marie, for you, what's the next story that you want to write in your life?
I think
UTMB?
there's not necessarily a specific, I don't have specific ideas about, okay, I've never been somebody who can plan my life in terms of in 5 years' time, I want to do that, in
Yes.
10 years' time. It's more just a continuation of what I've been doing up to now, to
And what you
keep
enjoy.
building and yeah, and learning and changing my ideas, evolving as I learn more, in terms of my running and my art, to keep building upon those things. I'm very excited about this group of women that I found, and we started a movement, the Berg Bitches.
I love it.
And
Tell
yeah,
us about
and
that.
that is also something that I really want to dedicate more energy into. It's something that I've always felt very passionate about, to really get more support for women who want to enter into trail running, and also just to give opportunities to people who maybe historically didn't have the same opportunities to enter the sport. And I think that is a really nice project to be part of. It aligns with my values and the things that I feel passionate about. So I'm very excited to be able to be part of this. That is a thing that is going to become a bigger part of my story. And then, of course, just to keep trying to climb every single peak available or accessible to me while balancing all the different aspects of life at the same time.
Wow. Great. So I think your challenge for every woman out there this Women's Month is to climb every peak, take on every challenge, start, Doesn't have to be the Monday or next month or next year. Start wherever you are.
Yes, absolutely.
I love that. Marie, thank you so much for being here with us today and sharing your experiences and your life story. I think if there's anything else you want to mention, I'm going to end the recording there. Is there anything else you want to add, Marie, that I didn't ask you that you want to put out there or dedicate to or shout out to?
No, I think that I really enjoyed your questions. I think
Yay!
they were really brilliant questions that also made me think, and reflect on a lot of things.
Good.
And yeah, and I can just say thank you for also all the great work that you are doing
Oh,
for
thank you.
women and for having this platform, especially for women in their middle ages,
Yeah.
perimenopausal phases. I think, there's a great need
It's hard,
for
man. We need
women
each
to.
other. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So yeah, so just want to say thank you for all the great work that you are doing.
Thank you. Okay, great stuff.